Howdy, folks. This is Sammy, the Samurai Who. Welcome to the 100 Days of Art Challenge Postmortem Round 2. So, this is another set of 100 days. So, I labeled it 200 Days of Art, just stacking on top. But I want to label it so that people know clearly that this is round 2. So, let's see if I learned from round 1. Not the amusement uh franchise, but yeah, you guys get it. So, who am I? I make art, comics, and videos. I work as a contributor for Atomic Red J and for The Samurai Who, because that's who I am. My projects: Puck Aliens, comic, Me and My Imaginary Girlfriend, comic, um, and Brush Pen Buddies video series. So, a summary of the overall challenge itself. So, draw for 100 days with a minimum of 1 hour a day. And then the rules are complete the challenge. Ideally, don't skip days, but things happen. And it's based on 100 days of code challenge. So, this is my version of this. I believe there are other people who've done different versions of the 100 days of art, but these are my rules, which are complete the challenge. And then I changed up the key events this time, um, because starting was I had a little bit of a plan compared to previously. The previous set of 100 days, I knew what I kind of wanted to do. I kind of set things out, and there were a lot more events in the later half of the year than there are necessarily at the beginning. So, one of the other things I did was do studies. So, this studying and replicating art that other artists have drawn, and I definitely um, learned a lot more from that. But even studies have limits, right? Maybe you're not able to have the skills to process, like, what the heck's happening with the structure, the construction, the pose, where artists push things, make it unrealistic, but tell a better story. Um, and I didn't necessarily have those tools. So what I was doing was kind of looking at art, trying to reconstruct it using my limited amount of knowledge. And then I definitely started learning that some art is better to be studied than others, right? So some are adding layers of complexity, some don't have foundational things, but they have a lot of things that look good. Um, because maybe the artists themselves are struggling with some of the fundamentals, or they're doing it for more stylistic reasons and intentionally, right? So I definitely started understanding that perspective instead of like, oh, this is art that looks good. I really want to understand how that is made and just make it. Instead, I learned where the holes in my knowledge were throughout the process. So, and yeah, I definitely started following more artists. Like, oh, I really like that. That looks pleasant because the pose, the way they're playing with the lighting, and now I kind of understand why lighting's such a big deal for artists. And they're like, oh wow, the way that image is lit is very interesting because maybe it's not realistic, but it looks pleasant or it conveys the story really well. Um, Art not just as an illustration or static image, but an element of storytelling started the embers of the importance of that started appearing to me throughout this set of challenges. So, and then working on some character designs of my own with day 141. That was interesting. And then now looking back on it, I can see, okay, this is where the designs were weak and things like that. One of the things I also did was doing character drawings, so fan art for fellow artist Xenon Retina. And that was over day 155 through 159. Then I also did Halloween doodles. So overall, there were more events this time around than the previous set. So, and then I added. So since I stream at all of these, if I remember, hit the right button, right? Sometimes I get into flow mode, and I'm like, oh wait, I forgot. I thought I hit the button, but didn't work, and stream didn't go live or internet disconnected. Yeah. But a big shift in the stream look is that I use toned paper, or quote unquote toned. It's just brown, and I ended up changing that a bit over the duration of the challenge. And yeah, I just didn't want to blind myself when I look at a white background for too long. Then I did some more graphic design type of things for ARJ Happy Horror Days. So that was day 191, and that was more creating a poster and brochure, but digital. So I didn't ever print these, but they were supposed to communicate, entice folks to watch a stream. So I don't think anyone really ended up doing that, but it was a fun process. It's kind of like a artifact to look back on for Barga and I, since we both did that event. Played some spooky games during the holidays, so that was fun. And of course, the challenge ended, thankfully. And then overall stats, it was very bad. It was so I almost doubled the days missed, and my longest streak dropped by 4. Yeah, but I ended up spending more time overall because I think the streams I did do, I did more time, and there were a number of streams that did not count. So I think that's why the total hours were that high. But yeah. And then overall, the missed days, there's a lot of crunch at work. So that really affected the amount of free time I had to spend. And there were a number of big personal and related things during this time. So this just illustrates that this challenge itself is very hard because it takes up so much of your time. So, but if you know your overall strategy is, I'm going to do this because it's valuable to me, not only because for me it's not monetarily valuable, but it's personally because without making art, I don't know if I would be a happy camper necessarily. And so I know my art isn't on the level of, say, Leonardo da Vinci or Kim Jong-gi or a number of the masters. It took them a lifetime to get to the status of master, right? And I've only just begun really my journey seriously, and they spend most of their lives on it. So, but the art of art is not necessarily just what you see. Um, and I definitely experienced the behind the scenes struggle, uh, but not in the economic sense that some artists have to experience, because their art is their lifeblood. Um, for me right now, it is still a hobby because um, I don't feel my skill level, even after these 200 days of art, are good enough. They're, they're not fast enough. The quality's not there yet, but I have significantly improved. Like before, I'd say 5%. This is also another 5%. So in the span of uh, slightly over, let's see, so it would be almost a year. I'd say I improved about 10% overall. And I think that's a big deal. So, my three favorite pieces. This time, however, they're not as colorful, except for the last one. So, let me explain. So, um, day 147. So, overall, a lot of these studies took a long period of time. So, you'd see the like top left one getting done over a couple days, then the right top one, and then the lower left one, and then the lower right one, right? So I chose these because they showed all of them completed. So technically it would be arranged, but I could only pick three, so I chose these three. Um, yeah, I started, working with values, but you can see that I struggle with some of the construction. So even though I did work on the construction this time, so instead of these flabby, structures and things like that, um, there was some logic to it. And then I had reference to pull from, but so I think overall the pieces for 147 were okay. I think the ones for 153 were significant improvement because I stopped worrying about gradients too much. Um, because I don't really know how to shade or light objects yet, even primitives right now, primitive shapes. Um, so I went with the hard light, and that definitely gave me a more stronger understanding of some of these values. Unfortunately, for 147, I didn't have the uh, original art to credits. So unfortunately for those artists, I don't I don't know who they are to credit them because I actually pulled them from a site that I that didn't list them. So Pinterest would be one of them. So that's why I stopped using Pinterest, because I want to credit the original artists. So which is what I did in 153 and further on. And then of course I had a interesting challenge with drawing characters that I didn't design, but so uh, definitely learning how to design someone's characters draw someone's characters in my style was an interesting transition from the studies. So with Xenon's three characters, Keisha Lockhart, Woodworm, and Barrel Rosette. That was an interesting challenge. I struggled with posing, but I think overall it shows I'm trying something new. So So, what were some of the lessons learned? So, I definitely, I definitely burned out from work and the challenge. Um, and it's just something that comes with the territory. Some days you come home and all you want to do is sleep. Some days you come home and all you want to do is do something brainless for like a couple hours, like watch a goofy movie or play a very simple game. Just get some enjoyment out of the day after a long day. And I understood that. And drawing is a very intense thing. Uh, I mean, I didn't choose to do meditation or a meditative drawing, so that could have been a better outlet. But yeah, but I did succeed in some areas, so the studies look pretty good. I did do some color blending challenges, so that's where I have 5 boxes and 2 colors on either side. Uh, the first box and the last box, and then I go between and try to blend. So that was interesting. So you go from the two to the center. You have a blend of those two. Then you go from the left to the center. It's from a control paint. So, um, so this is where I learned the value of like getting enough information, education to um, level up. So I definitely want to level up more. Um, and then learning that you can make art to uh, give people joy and then listen to their story. Because most of the time when people design characters, it's not a whole reflection, partial reflection of themselves. And I definitely learned that because quite a few of my characters are reflections of people I know, myself, and even idealized forms of uh, who I want to be or a world that I want to inhabit. Mid-tone background helps a lot. So, um, burning references, still doing that. Clearing up the hard drive. Areas of improvement. So, still path of least resistance routines. Time balance, all very badly this time around, almost doubled the missed days. Consistency and sustainability. So, I don't think that requires more elaboration. Avoidance. Um, I'm still, you know, still doing the music and the videos while I'm drawing type of thing. So that's not good. So what would I do next time? Start small. I definitely bit off more than I could chew for some things. And definitely was very harsh on myself because there was a huge span of I had a longer streak of missed days than I did of consecutive uh, completion days. So, um, still want to draw more characters, and I think at some point I mean, like with the previous one, there were definitely points where I just wanted to quit. Um, but I think once it got closer to the end, I remembered why I wanted to do this, because even though it's not fun right now, it might be fun tomorrow. And it's not necessarily I'm trying to delude myself or fool myself, but that you can't win every match, you can't win every day, but you can choose how you feel about the day and say, I did the best that I could, and be able to look back on and your work and say, I did have fun. I did do something I thought was impossible, even if the characters look un uh, not well put together, or maybe you didn't realize you flipped something and now everything looks weird. Eh, there's tomorrow. So remember to have fun. And yeah, in summary, definitely a lot of outside factors that affected the challenge this time around. And yeah, I just struggled. That's I thought 200 days would be easier, but I did a lot more. I added a lot more to this challenge than the first 100. And so even though it could have been easier, I wanted to challenge myself to do more, do better. So, and I'm glad that when I fell off the horse, I got back. I got back on. So, and yeah, I realized, sometimes you just gotta take a break. And yeah, as long as you know your strategy, you will be able to execute when you are ready. Don't wait too long, right? Otherwise, you might as well do something else. But, get out there and finish the fight. Thank you again for checking out this video. Ideally, you would have watched the first one. If not, I'd recommend watching that. Because, or just watching, or looking at the posts that I've made to see all the images and the work that I've put in. So yeah, and I'm not gonna tell you, oh, this is easy. Just do this, that. Well, it's a different challenge for everyone because everyone's at a different spot and they want different things. If you want to take on this challenge, which I encourage you to do, it will be hard. And there's no sugarcoating it. It will be hard. But it's not impossible. Just take the time you need and enjoy the process. Because now at the end of this challenge, I have 200 days of art that I can look back on and say, hey, I did that. I woke up, showed up, and did something that I wanted to do. And I don't care if it's 100 days of art, 100 days of running, swimming, code, whatever. I want to encourage you to challenge yourself and have fun. And even if you're a beginner, if this is something new, I mean, 100 days might seem like a long time. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not. It's a blink of an eye when you're 80 or whatever and you look back. You know, that the years just go by. And that's something that I definitely learned throughout this challenge. I got older a little bit. Um, I took a bit of a break between this one and the previous challenge, but it it seems like the person who I was and the person I am is very different. So, and if you find, okay, after 10 days you're like, this ain't it, chief, don't worry. It's it's not gonna hurt my feelings. I would be happy for you to find your passion, whatever it is. Maybe you select something that you thought was good, but turns out not to really be a good match for you. That's fine. Um, do something else, and whatever it is, try it for a while. See what happens. It might just be magic. It might be something you end up doing for the rest of your life. So, thanks again, folks, and I will talk to you later. Have a good one. Bye bye.